order the budget work session on Thursday, June 17, 2021 at 2 o'clock. As always, we'll start with the invocation. I'll ask Commissioner Morris if he'd lead us, please.
Let us pray. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for the many blessings you've given us. We ask that you would bless us and give us strength and guidance and wisdom as we discuss the county budget today. We ask that you give special protection to first responders and those deployed around the world, securing our nation. These things we ask in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Please continue standing for our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we do approval, I'll ask that we add a closed session to the meeting before we get started.
So moved.
I'd like to hear the motion read. We usually read the rationale for the motion before we make the motion.
Yes, sir. The rationale for going into closed session is to consider the initial employment or appointment of an individual to any office or position other than a vacancy in the Board of County Commissioners or any other public body, or to consider the qualifications, competence, performance, character, and fitness of any public officer or employee other than a member of the Board of Commissioners or of some other public body pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A6.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to request that this be item number 1.
Okay.
Rick, do you want to say with your motion?
Yeah, I'll amend the motion to include what was just added.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Closed.
Yesterday, after we watched this webinar yesterday on ARP funding, and Kelly was in here listening to it as well. I asked her some questions after everybody else left about the fund balance. And so she sent me an attachment last night, an input sheet from last year's budget, right, 2020. It illustrates the fund balance. So I was gonna ask her if, after she gets home, or whatever, she'd send that to all of you guys to look at. And Kelly, you can address this, but it basically kind of explains that the 16.2 we're working with is not everything the LGC looks at. They look at it a little different. So, going down to 16.2 or whatever we end up at is not something that's going to get us in trouble with LGC. So I'll get her to maybe say a couple comments on that. And then the second thing is, she was telling me that the LGC is going to require them to do a little bit of additional oversight or scrutiny of what we do whenever she reports out on the audit in the future. Like a couple minutes on each one of those.
Sure. So the worksheet that he's referring to, it's called a data input worksheet. It's something that, it's a spreadsheet that we submit with the county's report. Every municipality and county of the state has one. Some units do their own. We do the one for the county and the one for the Water Sewer Authority. It's considered a non-attest service. What he's referring to is on one of the tabs, there is a restricted for stabilization by state statute, and that calculates your percentage of available fund balance as a percentage of expenditures and transfers out. This is what the LGC looks at to compare units across the state. So another tab of this data input worksheet has a 3-year analysis, and it's just kind of comparing a couple of this percentage and a couple other ratios. And this is basically what the LGC is kind of gearing more towards reviewing to ensure that units are doing well. Any questions on that? And I will send that to you.
I have a question on that. Does that include the MOE fund?
It is just general funds.
Okay.
And we base it on, so the data input sheet, it takes numbers, so yes, it does, because the MOE and all of that is included in the general fund columns and on your front exhibits of
Right.
your county report. So yes, it does include the ones that
So when
that
you
are
look at
consolidated.
that, that's including their fund balances as well as general fund
Correct.
balances.
Correct. So the difference between the percentage that you all use and what the LGC uses is the LGC doesn't take into account assigned or committed fund balance, because basically the LGC realizes that if it's assigned or committed by a board approval, you can make that unassigned, you can make that whatever you see fit, restricted, whatever. So they don't take into account assigned or committed. And so that's why that percentage is a little different than what you all use internally.
So theirs is kind of a higher percentage.
It is a higher percentage. Last year was about a little less than 30%, so a little different. But again, this is based on last year's numbers. So
And last year's number wasn't 16.2 either, but there was a difference that it was better than our one we're talking about.
And what I have on this sheet
Always.
is just general only. I don't include all those other
Yeah.
funds.
so I will.
You see the attachment, then you can question.
Yeah, definitely. If you guys have any questions on any of that, it comes directly from your audit report. We key in one tab, the rest automates. So the other, what Rick was talking about, some changes that the LGC is requiring affects your audit presentation. One of which we are required to present to the board within 45 days of submitting your audit report to the LGC. That's not approval, that's submission. So, and Julia knows all about this, we've already discussed it. In addition to that, the LGC is requiring, if there's any findings in the current year, we have to discuss in pretty good detail each finding. The classification, the corrective action plan, just so the board is aware of everything. In the past, we only mentioned findings if we were asked, or if we're asked by our client to mention it. That's no longer, we are required to. And we are also required to discuss the status of prior year audit findings, which you had two for fiscal year 20. So we'll have to discuss whether those have been resolved. In addition to that, they are requiring some financial performance indicators to be presented. I'm not sure what they mean by that at this point. I'm assuming it's going to be things like ratios and percentage of fund balance, which we already do. I'm not sure, but it's basically the LGC is asking the board, asking us to present to the board more information than they have. I don't think that they've ever required us to actually present anything to the board. Now they're requiring us certain things. I cover all that.
Yeah, that's good. And so they're basically, they're gonna take a closer look at what we're doing, it's kind of what it boils
They
down
are,
to.
and they're requesting that you do as well.
Yeah.
Because another change is if you have findings in years past, the LGC would reach out to the unit to get basically their corrective action plan and the response. Now they are requiring, if you have a finding, the client has to send it to me and to the LGC within 60 days of my audit presentation. And I don't know if there's any ramifications if you don't meet that deadline. I don't know if there's any ramifications if you don't meet the audit presentation deadline, because there's a lot of boards that present every Monday, the same Monday every month. So, but that's just what we've been told.
It just means that she may have to do a presentation, you may not have a hard copy yet,
Or board, or LGC.
or
approval.
LGC approval yet. And see, there could be changes after that presentation.
That's all I-
A little
that's
more,
all.
it just sounds like a little more oversight. Correct, yes.
That's what we talked about yesterday. All right.
Thank you. We really appreciate you taking extra time to be in here with us. Absolutely, absolutely. Do you guys have any other questions? Have a safe trip back. Thank you. You guys have any questions?
Thank you.
Okay.
Can I go over what I handed out?
Yeah, it's pretty much item number 2, general review and
That
discussion.
I didn't have on the agenda, or I have one, and I don't know what I've done with it. Sorry. What's the next thing on the agenda? General discussion.
Yes, you,
I gave the board, there was a question asked about E911 funds. I gave you how, off their website, how they calculate this. And then I give you also the approved list of what you can spend it for. And that's off the E911, off the 911 board website. I also give you some ARP, this new funds we're supposed to be receiving, just some stuff I seen on the, looking for the presentation that we had yesterday, and you also have a copy of that from Sharon Edmondson. This is just some data I seen out there that Kara had put something out there, just got annual budget and all that, and then this was something that was on the website too from the National Conference of State Legislators that talks about this money also. I just thought it might be something you might want to look at. I don't know what I did for my presentation. Sorry, I've got stuff thrown here and everywhere. That LGC app, what we discussed, that this is that what was done in the webinar yesterday. Sharon Evison went over how we had to account for it and funds and how the Yellow Book was gonna require us to do stuff. And then she kinda at the end talked about a few things that you can use the dollars for, and when it has to be obligated and when it has to be spent. It has to be obligated by December of
2024.
24 and spent by December of 2026. And that's in her, it's on this presentation. I'm not sure what page
I
it
think
was.
I heard her say in the webinar, we couldn't decide because it was kind of blurred, but there's a possibility that that period of performance, 2024 to 2026, possibility that could possibly be extended a little bit. Had some good reason, I guess, but. Can't bank on it. Yeah, can't bank on it.
Good to have this information from the webinar.
Andy and I both sat in on that, we can talk about it when we get it on the agenda.
Okay, and then also I've been requested to, fund balance, and 3 months operating. I've estimated 3 months operating, taking away the equipment. I've done a 3 months and a 2 months, and what that would be a percentage of the budget that's been presented to you. And also I went down there and I have estimated a fund balance to the best of my ability. I mean, that it could, I try to do it as conservative as I can, and that's the 11,428,000 is what I'm thinking right now. I mean, stuff could change between now and the end of June 30th, and we get through pulling back. And then I've done by the recommended. I've done recommended is 17.74, and then 18 and 19 and 20, and I've shown up there what you would need to cut. Then I come down here talking about the school current expense fund. I redone their fund balance is a little bit less than I told you, not that much, but I've used, say, if you took that back and put it into general fund, you wouldn't have to cut but 45,000. Then I said, well, what if you cut them to 60, then that's what you would have to cut, and then if you cut them 400. I just threw some figures out there to make this, and it just shows what that percentage would be. I hope that's what the board was wanting from me.
I have several questions about it. Just a sheet,
Yeah.
so I make sure I'm following. Good to talk about. So let me make sure I follow this. You said your estimate will be 11,428,958.
I'm estimating our total expenses is going to be about 41,000. The way it's looking right now, I don't think we're going to use the whole $4 million that we appropriated.
That was my next question.
So
So how much are we gonna use?
I think it's at $1 million, $2 million, or 2.5.
You're gonna use a little over half of what we
Yeah.
appropriated. So we got, $1.5 million.
Yeah,
that we
and I
put
took
back.
that away from that total expenditures,
Okay.
because that's how you get your percentage. You do your total expenditures and divide it into what your fund balance is to come up with your percentage.
So what is that? If we have 11 million, then that's way, what percentage is that?
Yeah,
That's a 27% fund balance?
yeah, that's what it would be.
Okay, that's if we did nothing, right?
Right.
Okay, and then so the next things you just went over were,
If we use 3,995,000, which is proposed and recommended in the budget, then it would take it. Then you subtract that from this 11 million, and that gives you 7,433,000, and that would be 17.74% if you use the 3,995,000.
oh, I see, and so.
See, yeah,
And so what is the 3 months operating expense number? Is that?
3 months operating expenses up at the top is 10,996,546.25.
Okay, so that's ideally what we would be at. We'd be at that.
And I just showed you
Where's
what,
that at? Where's that?
up at the very top part, it says,
Oh, 10,996.
Yeah.
Okay.
and then I just said, what if you wanted to keep two months? I mean, I just did that just to show it.
So in the one where you cut the 45,000, that gets us to about 2 months.
Yeah,
That's 18%. 1774 were a little under 2 months. Okay, that clarifies what we're doing.
I mean, I don't know if that's what the board wanted, I just tried to do
Yeah,
it
that's
the best.
exactly.
I I was asked to do a 17, 18, 19, 20%. So, then I tried to tell you how much you would have to cut. To get there.
Thank you, Liz, for this.
I mean, I hope that's what the board wanted.
Pretty much it's a nail on the head.
Yep, you did.
Any more talk on that subject? Maybe move on to item number 3, the American Rescue Plan Act.
You mean to talk on that first? or you-
Yeah, that's fine, if you want to, but.
Yeah, we had a really good presentation from the deputy at LBC on that yesterday, and, I think everything she said, let me just go through my notes real quick and tell you a couple of highlights. We're gonna hit it in 2 tranches, we're gonna 50% of it, each one, which is 8.8 divided by 2, whatever that is. She made the comment that, this is like a once in a generation opportunity to get this much money dumped on, so it ain't gonna happen again, she does. And she'd never seen anything like it in her career. She's a deputy of the LGC now, so, I guess her point was be smart, cause this ain't gonna happen anymore, really take advantage of it. 2 tranches, one in 2021, one in calendar year 22. 22, half each time. Cannot be used to build reserves up. It's not for debt service. It can go into capital projects funds. She said, don't put it in capital,
Reserve.
reserve, cause it'll go into.
Because that has to be used for capital only, and you
Yeah,
couldn't
you
change
don't
if you
lock
wanted to
yourself
change
into
it.
that. You wanna keep it where you can spend it anywhere you want to. Got appropriate for you, obligated, so we'll do that as soon as it comes in, we'll appropriate it. And then Julie's got figured out how to look after it when we get here, we don't need to get into that, I don't think. Probably will like a special revenue fund.
I've got a fund already set up,
Yeah.
that's already there that I've not used in several years, I'm gonna use.
Yeah,
Also, you can either do a capital project ordinance or a grant ordinance, and I've got a copy of the grant ordinance.
it can be used to backfill losses caused by the pandemic.
he had it hooked up to
You can justify those.
You had this cable hooked up to that. What? I'm sorry,
Set up just to not giving the network to be out on, you're on the internet, not on the network.
Yeah, I can't get to the O drive.
If you're not on the land, you're on the outside, that's what that was saying.
Oh,
I
okay.
think.
It's the blue cord, sorry y'all, I'm trying to.
She said most of the folks are leaning toward using it for water and stormwater and broadband. Then there's, we get into kind of interesting part, Cooper's got, in addition to what we're getting, Cooper's got 1.2 billion for broadband. It's also gonna be distributed around the state, and so she said, don't be in a hurry to commit this ARP money to broadband, because it could cause you to lose some of the Cooper money. So,
We don't know about Cooper money.
yeah, and,
Don't know.
yeah, a lot of this is still to be defined, and,
But it's coming.
but it's definitely there, the Cooper money is, and so,
See if I can get on it.
one other thing I drew from this that she didn't say that I'm almost sure you can do from something I read, we may need to leverage some of the ARP money to get some of the Cooper money. In other words, say we'll agree to spend so much of the ARP on broadband if he'll put some of his money in with it, to give us whatever the total is we want to spend. But it kind of sounded to me like you need to just hold off on doing broadband right away, wouldn't you say?
1.2 billion, I mean, even, I doubt it's gonna be divided evenly between 100 counties, but even when it does get divided, you still talk about a good chunk of money.
Yeah, so she said, wait, just kind of be patient for a little while. As far as putting out an RFP, I would say we don't do that. I would recommend we do an RFP and get it ready and then just stick it on the shelf until the time comes to use it. So you guys want to go ahead and do that, that'd probably be, that'd make it that much quicker for us to respond once we're able to, once we figure out how we're going to respond. Must be obligated December 2020.
Yeah, and then she just kind of reiterate again, don't
Try to move too fast on this, really until we understand all the rules and what,
how we do tests.
leverage all these pots to get the most money for what we want to do. That's basically what I took out of it.
And the thing that's like me most was, we are able to use this on capital projects. So, that tell you, I mean, you want somebody to help to our budget, help our budget.
We did a, do we ever determine the exact amount that we'd be getting? Anybody know?
8 million, I think it is, 8.8.
It's actually nearly 8.9, 8 point,
8.4, something like that, yeah.
I think I've had that somewhere.
Do a lot of capital stuff with that.
And then she, one thing she said, some people turned it down, so I thought, my God. The one thing we don't want to do is lose any of it. You need to figure some way to spend every penny of it.
Well, I've
Absolutely.
always seen it, Stokes County is one of
those
those
counties, we pay our taxes, but I don't feel like we ever get our fair share back.
I agree with Rick, don't need to be one penny left in there. There's something we can spend it on.
Jim.
And we did figure our way out through the portal, and we did formally submit our request for the funds.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so we should get that back in, I think it's 3 days now, we did it yesterday morning. It said it'd take up to 4 days to let us know, how long it'd take to get it, and how that would work.
I think it'd be better if we didn't get it till July after the new fiscal year.
It'll probably be then anyways, but they'll let us know, I guess, more specific time, once they process our submission.
We're gonna give it plenty of time before we have figured out what to do with it.
Sounds good. So,
An RFP, doing RFP is fairly simple. It's just, what can y'all do to help our unserved and underserved? Evaluation criteria in it, and have it ready to go.
Would be good to bring the guy that lives here in the county that deals with the state on as far as appropriating funds and stuff for broadband, Glenn Knox. He'd be very knowledgeable in helping us put something like this right here together, what we could possibly get.
He lives here locally.
Yeah, he does.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, with all that being said and what you learned yesterday, are there things in the budget that we need to go ahead and take out to hold over for this fund, for this American Rescue funds?
Absolutely. So. We're wanting to get back up to 20% and cutting more than needed.
And that would be the first things I'd look at cutting, or holding
I don't
off
think there's
on.
that many you can cut though. Those things Stewart had in there, you could take those out, but they were financed.
But you still have to take it out of your actual, like as far as percentage.
I mean,
it's
you
still
can cut them out and not finance them.
Yeah, you
mean,
take
you-
them out, not
yeah.
finance them, and, yeah, it'd probably be smart to do that, those controls, and,
Because you're not supplanting the budget if it's not in the budget.
That's what I'm saying, getting it out.
take it out, and then you can always budget amendment it back in later.
Yeah.
Right, but I think anything that we could use this money for, go ahead and take out of the budget now.
And did I understand correctly,
There
that
ain't a ton of stuff in there though, you take out.
the schools, with the money they're getting, they can also use that for infrastructure on schools, is that correct? Do you understand that to be what they were saying yesterday, Julia?
What?
That blue sheet.
The money that the schools is getting, they can also use that for like construction and stuff in schools and the roofs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, they.
So now they're appropriated for the windows,
Yeah.
but, I mean, they can also do like
Also-
roofs.
I had seen on something I had printed off, and I don't know what I've done with it on this grant money. We wondered about, if you need I'm just using this example, if you need an air conditioning unit replaced, can you replace it with that and say, and add to the air conditioning unit an air quality thing because you're purifying the air, which would help with, you know, in the building. And that was a question I had was, what if you had air conditioning that needed to be replaced? Could you replace it with this money and put, because you, with this air conditioner, you're gonna get an air purifying system with it built in it. So it's purifying the air in the building. And that was a question I wanted to know, you know, because something was said, and, oh, I know it was at my April GFOA conference, somebody said that they used the CARES money for some of that, to put air conditioners in buildings and with the air purifier. And I'm like, well, ooh, that's a, you know, that would purify the air and help with, you know,
Also get your
germs
own
and
unit up
things,
there.
yeah.
I think that's in that guidelines for the schools out there, they could use it for that.
They can.
Yeah, I thought I read
Third
that.
column, right?
Yep.
That's the ARP part.
Yep.
I didn't bring that today.
I looked mine to my, okay, about the laptop.
But
But I read that about the schools, when they use it for their
Especially
system.
the indoor air quality, including HVAC systems, filter and purification.
There you go.
They could.
There you go.
So does the board want to go through the equipment list and say, we want to take this out or that out, and, or how do we want to?
We should anything that we think we can use this money for.
I mean, I know those the things in public buildings, I'm thinking. Like
Well, I
I s-
understand also, like some of the stuff, like the, skid steers or anything like that, we cannot use that money for that. They can't be like new equipment.
For what?
ARP,
For what?
for like skid steers and stuff like that, the different departments in the counties want, we can't use that money for that.
That's my understanding. And I have put beside what's been appropriated, what funds it's gonna come out of too, or if it's financed. But like I said, you know, you know, we can go through,
What did we say about those radios that need an upgrade, and that,
and you went, what's that?
if we can use that money, American Rescue for that?
Well, it's like what I was talking to Commissioner Barneycastle there with the fire departments. He seems to think it can be extended. Actually, the deadline is
2025.
I'm not saying that that's what it is for the sheriff's department or EMS or fire department,
Right.
or the fire marshal, but that information, I'm still in the process. I hope to have that before you, for the next budget. I just need to get time to sit down with me and tell me
Well, I would
exactly.
imagine maybe we could spend this money on buying them if we needed to.
Can you use that money to, fix roofs?
Yes.
I'm sorry, if we're done with that part there, we're gonna go on to talking about the budget, we'll go ahead and move on to item 4. Item A, Stokes County School budgets, if y'all wanna start with school, we can do that. It's our commissioner recommendations.
I ain't too much, but
Gotta do.
the only thing I picked up from our little assignment was that we take that 140,000 out for demo in the prison camp, and then
It will do county first. Yeah, like item A was the Stokes County School, and then item B was the county, but go to the county first.
oh, school's fine, I'll do school. The only thing I said on school was, I could figure out was maybe take out one of the 2 teacher codes. And I'm not smart enough about school to recommend anything.
needs to stay in, the high school can go. They need to keep the elementary and the high school can go.
That's only.
The only reason I say that is I did high school 7 years, and I know that they can do without, but the elementary needs it. Yeah, that's my opinion.
And then the other, so that's the only thing I had on school, I couldn't find anything else, because I couldn't tell the difference in priorities, the rest of that stuff, it all seemed to be the same priority to me.
Yeah.
And then, I guess we can discuss whether we do half or all of the 5%. So,
Yeah.
and then on the county side, the only thing I said, we take that 140 from the prison camp out, and then we can have them bring us a project description and put it back in later in the budget, we get ready to do it. That's one place you could take a quick 140 out of the general fund. And then, depending on what the project description is, it may be more or less than 140 whenever they come and tell us which buildings and so forth we're gonna do or whatever. Then the other one I had was one we just talked about, was moving these 3 automation systems out
Yeah.
from Stewart's budget and doing an ARP on that. That's all I could come up with.
I thought about the roofs, if we could use that money that was coming in. Take the 3 roofs out and then use that money for it.
You're talking about county? Okay.
Yeah, county. I was like, Mr. Cox, in hall on the, school band, rig. That was one of the biggest things I thought was on the school park.
You saying delay the roofs for 1 more year?
Or use the American Rescue money possibly.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, if we could use that American, yeah.
How do you justify, what does American Rescue say about roofs?
I don't know if it can be used for that, except for like air quality.
Well, that's just something I heard, but I don't know if roofs is something.
Yeah, the lady said yesterday there's still rules to be defined on by ARP that they still don't know all the details.
I don't know if you could use it.
Can I have clarification on those roofs? Are you talking about the ones from general fund?
Yes, ma'am. The Reagan and the courthouse and
The
hospital.
Reagan, the DSS, Reagan, and the old courthouse. Now, do
Those
you
were the
still want
ones
to
that-
do the probation and Danbury Library, or you want to leave that in cap reserve?
Let's just leave that in cap. Yep.
I mean, I figured if you was gonna not do the other ones, you would want.
Yeah, if we can use that money.
Yeah,
To do
Well,
it.
even if you can't use that money and you need to cut,
hospital roof,
it's possible that the roofs could hold on to that.
For another year, yeah. Unless one of them's actually leaking or
Yeah.
something bad, then you didn't get the ARP money, just do it next year.
What I was told on this one, there has been no repairs done on this, correct? It could possibly, it would more than likely make it another year, no problem.
Be a problem for another year, but my understanding is I take everything I possibly can out of this. Thinking that stuff, as if that actually funding would take care of it. If it didn't, the board would come together and place it back in. If it comes to a point that it was started leaking.
Right.
And you needed to take care of it. But it can wait a year.
One on the old courthouse is in a lot worse shape than this one, but then again, I don't know when that one was replaced on the old courthouse.
just gonna borrow the money anyway to do it, so it don't matter. And that's why they was in capital projects. And see, some of them, if they lap them into another year, it's hard to,
If we're gonna finance it, does it help our fund balance at all then to take them out?
well, the ones that no, but, you just don't have it appropriated to say you're supplanting the budget if you use other funds.
Yeah.
But the ones in general, you've got several listed as general. CSS roof, Reagan building, old courthouse, hospital roof, and the demolition on prison camp, all those are listed as general fund.
See, I put those other, ones in cap
Right.
reserve, capital projects,
Top
just.
four did, yeah, 4 or 5. But the bottom 4 or 5 are listed as general. And I think a key item is like several, it's a good thing about going last, you don't have to come up with new ideas. All the commissioners just about took 3/4 of what I was gonna say, but I think the key thing is this American Rescue Plan. We get 8.8 some million in 2 divisions, that's 4.4 some million per time. And that's gonna cover, we can, depending upon what we can use it for, that can be a big
It's like the CARES Act, they kept changing
amount.
it.
I'm sure it will be.
But I sure would like to know that it comes on general. I mean, roofs
Yeah.
come under that American Rescue Plan.
Well, it's not, like this animal shelter is $450,000 budget for it. You can do new buildings under that money. That's
$450,000?
Yeah. We're trying to stay at 220. Put $1,010,000, well, that's close to half right there.
Can I ask a question about the new EMS station? Until I saw this budget, I was just under the assumption we were just opening, like closing one location, opening another one. I didn't, of course, being not on here last year, didn't realize it was adding 6 people and another ambulance and all that. So, but I imagine there's justification for the amount of calls that they run to add that, but that, so part of it was budgeted in last year's building, I guess, and then this year is the personnel, which that's a reoccurring, cost to add 6 people to the station.
We went ahead and bought the ambulance,
Yep.
but we didn't staff the people.
Okay.
Ambulance was financed.
Cause it
last year,
takes
right?
almost 6 months to get an ambulance, so if you, so that's,
Okay.
Yeah, the call volume, we've been with 5 for I don't know how many years, and call volume is double before we added
I
the
was
6
gonna
units.
say.
I'm sure it's
That's
needed, I'm
why
not
we did
saying
it.
that it's not, but, 6 new salaries,
Ain't nothing cheap about EMS.
yeah.
Business.
I'm not mistaken, you corrected me wrong, one coast they said visited San Ridge, you know, had to kind of stay on standby a whole lot, when one was gone.
Oh, they constantly pull them,
Yeah.
constantly pull them. But it's just about a given day, every day in our county. Every one of our ambulances are gone. And I hear as much as 2 or 3 times a day. They're gone for Cy County or going down to Guilford County Hospital down there.
Yeah, they're constantly relocating.
Yes. And I tell you something, we get a lot of calls now from Forsyth County to stand by with our ambulances because they're short-staffed.
Bad.
Yep.
Well, the, emergency communications budget increased 103,000, what was that? Was that salaries or
that's reorganization.
reorganization?
Yeah, hire a lead, lead, let me go to the salary budget and then I can tell you the salary, the information I can tell you. We're gonna hire a lead telecommunicator supervisor, and I'm gonna change them to 12-hour shifts. And we'll change the supervisors to 12-hour shifts because this person is a supervisor, so you have 4 supervisors down there. And then and if he could hire a public telecommunicator, then he could cut his part-time positions and use this other telecommunicator as on an alternate schedule so they can fill in.
And then you cut part-time out. Overtime, then you cut overtime work out, which.
Right.
It's a whole lot.
And that would cost you $32,000 to do that with fringes. To add those 2 positions, and then you're cutting their part-time. And you're reducing your supervisors to 12-hour shifts, so they won't get but 16 hours of overtime, paid time and a half, or whatever we pick. But you would reduce your overtime pay because you're changing them to 12-hour shifts instead of 24.25. I'm sorry, I just give myself a paper cut.
I don't see how they set that at 24.
It's been an area of very high turnover in the past, I don't know how it is now, but I
Right now, they're not,
this will help stabilize it better.
yeah. I mean,
That
that's,
should save money in the long run.
In the long run, yeah.
If you ain't never done it, it's challenging. I did it for a year and a half.
People to get a 12-hour shift and allows some of them to be able to just not constantly be on call. Supervisors. Supervisors is the one who really have to come in and take care of. The other ones on call, If something happens in there, they gotta show up.
Anybody that we
Well, I'd like to go over just a few things.
can I ask, and maybe I shouldn't be at, the DSS vehicles, there's not a question about that. I mean, that's $45,000 county dollars, so I didn't know.
Yeah, something's kind of neat.
Or about 49,000. I'm just looking at the equipment list there, I'm just,
Transporting kids and like a.
yeah, I don't have,
Some of them are going 2 and 3 hours away with these kids.
You have to keep them up to date.
I was
Plus
just,
the other money pays for most of it.
and that's, I didn't have a problem with it, I just seen it.
Yeah.
I wasn't wanting to cut it, I just wanted to make sure there wasn't. So you want me to take away in capital project those roofs? So if you have it, can use it, the other money,
My vote would be to take it all out, animal shelter and building all.
Yeah.
Huh?
My vote would be to take them all out.
animal control building too?
All of them, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I will.
I'm making correct, I'm doing changes while y'all are.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I say, if you do whatever very long, that's what I say, that's more than what needs to be taken. And if we get some other funds to do it, then yay.
Yeah.
So do we need to put back in the $84,000 that they requested for the floor and electrical work back in the budget?
So, because it's the state code, you'll have to do it.
That's gonna be the animal shelter.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, if we
He
find
said
another
take
one,
it, he said put it down on
it'll
shelter.
probably be one a year, year and a half before it gets built.
Yeah.
If you install a state or not. Tell you to do it, they're gonna close it if you don't do it. That's what they've done to us before.
Well, it looks like if they knew.
But
when
you
the
do
again, Andy.
I mean, I'm trying to do all these
I
corrections.
think I've got them all down, but I just want to make sure I didn't miss one.
You mixed up your plans, eh?
Okay, so right now, if I'm hearing correctly, the board is agreeing to bring down for the capital fund, projects fund, the animal shelter, which is $450,000, the DSS roof, which is $183,000, Reagan building roof, which is $138,000, the old courthouse roof, $175,000, and the hospital roof, $350,000, which is a total of $1,296,000.
1,296,000.
Yeah.
Only question on the hospital roof, they're trying to get that paid for by insurance. If they don't, I don't know how serious, whether it can last another year or not, so we can always do a budget amendment for that too, so.
That's no, we still need to take a gamble on, because like I said, the insurance isn't paying for it. Yeah.
We always add it back.
That was 1 million, and what, Commissioner?
1,296,000.
Took the probation and the Danbury roof off and leaving that money in capital reserve.
How much is your coverage?
That's not in general fund. Those roofs was in capital projects fund, not.
I just wanted to make sure that your cuts is matching what he's talking about.
He's cutting from capital projects fund, 1,296. Yeah,
These are all finance.
capital projects fund.
But still
I got to go over here to capital project and remove it, but I was just trying to get my equipment so I could know what. Now, I'm supposed to remove I'm just clarifying what I've done here. I'm supposed to remove the probation roof, the Danbury library roof, and the 4 Trans SC web-based building automated systems.
Re-up. I didn't say those. Ones I said at the very last page of the capital projects.
Oh, yeah.
The ones that was all,
What are these things here?
That's those things, whatever that is.
That's the American District thing?
Yeah. And they're saying, are the board wanting to take those 3 for the government center, jail, and DSS, those,
Yeah.
the really air conditioning unit things, I typed on here what he called it. They're
They're
in
automated.
public buildings,
where's that,
That's the one
it's
thing.
under public buildings. Flip one more page, I think.
I guarantee you.
On
this
Tracer
person
SC
paid that.
web-based building automations.
See that Tracer SC web-based building automation is, those 3, it's like $510,000. It's being financed, but if you appropriate it, then you're supplanting the budget if you use AR. So
Need to take it.
somebody had said, take it out, so maybe we could pay for, and then they said take the probation roof and the Danbury library roof, I'm taking out of capital reserve. Do you still want me to leave those in or out?
That don't affect fund balance or anything.
No. Just and take out the 140 for the demolition of prison camp building.
No, I'd say that they didn't.
I'd like to keep that in right now.
Demolition.
But it's up to the rest of the board, because I don't think we could get that under them funds.
I just need to know.
We can always put it back.
Well,
If you want
Oh,
to look
this
at,
one.
if you're looking at you're looking at the economic, stimulus, possibility it could pay for, it, couldn't it? Economic growth.
All this stuff, we're going on the premise, we'll put it back if we have to, so. Take it out, it doesn't mean you're not
Yeah,
gonna
I
do it.
mean, you
Right.
can
Right.
take it out and put it back if we, it actually may pay for that for an economic development type thing. I think it's gonna be
I'd
pretty
try.
broad
That's
this
what-
time.
Yeah,
as
it
to
seems
what
like
you
it.
need.
All right, so does everybody want to take the prison out?
well, with the knowledge that we put it back in.
Yeah.
Yeah, once we see how the sales tax is going and everything for the next year, we start putting stuff back.
I mean,
Like me tell you, I always go back and have that.
thing in public buildings is left, the stuff from the capital reserve, and, huh? But
And
they
now-
took them out right there.
Well, I'm so,
This is the final column.
merchant, that'd be the John Deere's.
This you recommended, this is my final column.
Won't need the merchant, why would they need a John
I
Deere
took
skid
them
steer?
out. I took, and
My definition of skid steer is
Merchant ain't coming out. Deal with disasters.
Do you think the fund would pay for the sealing of the hospital walls and
the
that
foundation and the ceiling of the walls, fixing that foundation and sealing wall.
What's your hospital, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a possibility.
So those two areas,
That's coming out of cap reserve though, but it's money that's to stay in cap reserve to spend on something else.
We think we can find something to use that money for, okay, anything that, just in case, we're getting $4 million.
it's like y'all said, you know, always put it back. And we'll have a list, Julie will have a list where you, one day when you say, now, I remember, I believe.
Yeah.
Some of these things like that, those items could
It could be fairly urgent to get them done, so we may have to put them back real quick, even before we know the
And,
answers on that other stuff.
and this money, those two items I was taking out of cap reserve to see it's gonna stay in cap reserve. So if it's not done, you can always appropriate it out of cap reserve then.
I bet that one right there could go. The fencing at,
guardrail.
Guardrail at Mortuck Park, $52,000. Do you think that would pay for the enhancement of,
That's coming out of
Parks.
general fund, that will reduce.
as far as you maintaining a park for mental health, it'll pay for it. I mean, for
Yeah,
your
I'll
sense.
not comment on that one.
That's
Stuart
a,
told me that was really important to have that done.
that's a safety issue also.
That probably needs to happen sooner than later.
Well, I just had a thought. Where you're not taking the roofs or the foundation stuff out of cap reserve, you could take that $52,000 out of that cap reserve and not general fund.
Where the hell happened?
I mean, you're just, it's from where you're gonna get your revenue from to pay for it. I mean, that's just, if you wanna leave that in, we could take it from cap reserve instead of general fund. I'm just making a note of here. I mean, I just was sitting here seeing that, sorry. See where we're putting that back in, see, that'll more than pay for that.
So what we're doing now, what's our total cut we're looking at? Well, I figured it's 1.946.
100. Hang on 1 second. Bear with me 1 second. I got to. It's where I changed that. You have to do it a different way. Sorry. Have to do things one way when I'm in my office and another way when I'm using it like this. $192,000 reduced general fund. Yeah, but some of it's being financed and everything, so that's not gonna reduce your fund balance.
Anything you finance, you still have to take it out.
Yeah, I gotta take it out, yeah.
What's your total, what you finance and everything, how much will you cut?
That's what we want.
So it should be 192,000.
But see, we had to show financing as a revenue.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I think you're just wanting a total revenue. Okay, hang on, 162.
Should be close to
1662. Do it this way, so he's sitting there trying to calculate it. Minus this. You cut 749,748 from the total budget right now.
Finance Right, but you still have to count it as part of the
Yep.
fund balance, right?
No.
So the five
That was
items.
1,296,000 that we cut from
Right,
that, but
that's
no,
right.
it's not part of the fund balance, no.
Okay. So they don't deal with the percentage?
No.
So we're sitting at what now, tell me that number again?
You cut from your total budget 749,748. Now you cut from your general fund $192,000. So you can take that off of 3,995.
That includes that 140, right? That includes the 140?
Yes, sir. So your 3.8 is what you're wanting to take out of fund balance right now, like what you cut out of equipment.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So we're
We
appropriating.
still on what we're taking out, hoping we'll get to the American Rescue Plan. Is that all we're dealing with right now?
Yeah. So we're at 3.8 is what we're taking out of fund balance to balance the budget now.
Yeah. And I'll clarify these figures by the next meeting, and I'll have everything, but that should be right.
3.8 is coming from that 24.57,
Like subtracting from that,
That what?
that 3.8,
Excuse me.
the 3.8,
Uh-huh.
you subtract, what we do,
subtracted from that 24.57. Like after the,
Oh, you talking about, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm with you now.
okay.
in other words, this is,
Yeah. No, yeah, because this would go down.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's what would be subtracted from, basically, right?
Yeah, but you're also subtracting it from here. If it's according on what we've cut so far, then you're up to 18.
That's 18, okay.
just 18.04.
Well, yeah, but that'll change because your total expenditures will change, because your total expenditures, you cut $749,000 out of it.
Right, that makes it get a little better.
Yeah.
That should put us on closer to 20 then, right?
Yeah, probably so. I'm sorry,
That's all right, that's
I
all
know what,
right.
I didn't know you was looking at this sheet,
Yeah.
sorry, I'm there, I'm with
It's
you.
okay, you got 10,000 things on one second, you get lost your mind.
You can go all the way to 20, though, would it go closer to
Oh.
19?
Not using as much. What I say, 3,803.
Lucky you got the ARP.
Well, it's 18.53.
Yeah.
18.53.
We got it
18.53.
at a good time.
18.53. Now, that's not considering moving any money from school current expense yet either.
That's what I was gonna ask. We're not doing any at all with
Not
school.
yet,
Yeah.
not yet. Yeah.
I want to make sure.
Recommended much to do there either.
You want to go to the salary and say, yay, you want to do this reorganization, or you don't want to do that
For which reorganization for what?
Just the next, that next group.
Just-
Equipment.
I'm sorry, it's underneath the orange folder. Like the animal control, are you gonna want to do that?
I'd say yes, because
Shifting around.
it's smart for Joey not to be running the animal shelter, and that's what this does. All these changes are basically fix the.
I totally agree with that.
And it's only gonna cost, what did I say, $5,000 some
Yeah,
dollars
$5,000.
to what we're changing and shifting.
He's got some concerns now.
What tab are you under now?
The orange. It's orange colored.
Oh,
But the supervisor over, Scotty over at the animal shelter's got some issues that need to be brought up that he's thinking about. And one of them is firearms.
follow those laws, you know, with the consent carry permit and what it brings. Like, they should be individually liable for anything that happens.
They were, but they're going, they're under the sheriff's department.
Give them a certain
Sheriff's department's
time
fine
to
as
get
far as the enforcement side of it.
I think
But
it's still open carry right now, correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if some of them don't already.
Right.
yeah.
But I would have them go through the training.
Why wouldn't they just open carry and stuff with? Wrong, I mean, they're probably, nobody
They
does.
they just want to make sure you,
Yeah.
Right.
Am I missing something?
I mean, if it was me, I would probably want to conceal carry, but yeah, I agree. I don't know why it'd be a problem.
Just because of the training that comes with it, I guess. Just that you know they've been more thoroughly trained maybe on, but that'd be the only reason. I would think that open carry anyway.
Do you open carry, Sean?
But I just wanted to,
I got my concealed carry.
I have to.
yes, concerns about it, and I want to let y'all know his concerns.
Yeah, you, I mean, a weapon I'd wanna use wouldn't be one I'd want to.
It'll just be their,
Yeah.
it'll just be their personal weapon, though, right?
Yeah.
Because they have county issued a shotgun, you said.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah, we don't buy
Right,
the pistols.
right, so that'll just be their personal
We
weapon.
can change that policy.
And it would only be where they were confronted with an animal that was rabid or vicious. They had to protect themselves.
Oh, yeah, I want one too.
It should be on the
Yeah, got that
enforcement side
right.
anyway,
I
but.
believe I'd have
If
one.
well, it would be okay if enforcement was the one showing up or something, but they
Right,
can
that's
show up
something.
in these
If-
areas
yeah,
also.
If there's knowledge of them being, having rabies or whatever, that should be the deputies anyways handling that.
Yeah, they have confrontations with the two-legged variety as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Which the deputy should be handling, but if the deputy ain't there, then.
He just wanted to,
Yeah.
that was a concern he had. He wanted to-
Yeah, some
Too late.
people don't take two cow when you take her dog.
Well, unless you got two pit bulls coming through your yard from the neighbor's
Yeah.
house coming right at you, and if you go down, I'm sorry,
Exactly.
Now,
cause I've had that happen.
sheriff's also wanting to move from the jail to back to his budget, which is a zero. It's not gonna cost anything, it's just moving the position. Now, the EMS communications, do you want to do that? That's hiring the lead
Supervisor.
putting that position in there, and another telecommunicator position in there, and changing the supervisors to on 12-hour shifts. And you would, that all would cost you $32,036.12.
There's some being overworked now.
Well, you would cut down on the part-time if you had that lead supervisor. And he could cut down on his part-time, having another full-time dispatcher. He would put them on an alternating, so they would like fill in when somebody's on vacation and stuff.
You wouldn't
Same
believe
thing
it.
we were discussing earlier, right?
Right. And you wouldn't believe the amount of money spent on him. calling him
Yeah, I keep
part-time.
having to add money to his part-time every year. Cause he can't keep part-timers, and then he has to have them trained, and then. So
It's
it's
worth
just,
a shot, see if
it's-
it'll correct itself. See if it'll save money in the long run for overtime, for part-time or whatever.
It does away with the overtime pay and part-time.
Yeah, worth a shot. They would leave that alone.
then you got your EMS, and that's hiring them 6
Yeah.
people for that unit
Gotta have
6.
6 for that.
Fire marshal's office in dire need of another part-time employee.
He requested his part-time employees back.
Request them back.
That, he had a part-time position. When they started doing the inspections and wanted code, we added a full-time staff person, and the part-time was be cut.
He has come to me and requested that if there was something happened to where he needed to call back the part-time person because of, sickness or whatever, that he would work with the county manager at the point that hopefully he can bring in that, person, but I don't ever see that happen.
Something needs to be budgeted.
I don't even see it happen. I wouldn't worry about it, I'd cut it out.
You didn't recommend it or
No.
I agree. If we didn't have a recommendation to begin with,
Something bad happens, he can come back to the board. Y'all can take care of that.
16 to,
Register of deeds, those positions that he was sitting there talking about.
Yeah.
for the,
It was for receptionist.
To get the,
Telephone.
Telephones going all to one location and hooked out and piped out to the people that needs it. They will still have the actual, coding system, but a lot of people can't. So they call in, instead of having planning department viewing it and then.
are you telling me that if I called 593-2811,
Go to
it's
the
going
register.
straight to the register deeds? And then they're going
Rattle.
to route it out to the appropriate department?
You actually have a receptionist here answering the calls.
Then he's gonna do passports, which will bring in some revenue.
When you're not
He
on
says
the
about
phone.
$15,000, I think, is what he put in the,
It is.
I could go along with that then.
but but you're also doing away with his permanent
He's
part-time
using his
position.
permanent part-time and he's doing passports, which basically is, covered the cost on it.
That's a good service.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
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 I hate talking to a machine.
Well, you don't have a person there.
Have an actual person to talk to.
explain that one too. The solid waste.
That one is, due to, I'm trying to recall all.
right,
It's not recommended.
The the truck driver, I'm assuming, right?
Oh, sanitation truck driver, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear which one.
That's sanitation equipment operator, but it's not
You
recommended.
didn't recommend that, did you?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Didn't feel like it was a necessity.
The public works, public buildings, they're gonna reorganize. And, their department, he's wanting a custodian supervisor to do that, and then he would move. He's also gonna have one of his maintenance people, get certified with the sewer system, so we're paying half of that salary in the 21-22 budget. We're recommending that half of that salary be paid out of the sewer fund. So it would help pay for this, this position.
Also supervising
Who is?
Ricky Gordon, his maintenance supervisor. Got all the maintenance and the custodians. And too many people can be supervising.
We've needed this for years and it never got approved, but it's.
Also, this will help us with doing away with the position in animal control and. I mean,
No, Ricky do inspections too.
Ricky Bennett,
Oh, Ricky, Bennett, I'm sorry.
yeah.
Was it Ricky? Who did I say? Ricky?
I thought it was-
I totally apologize.
He was cool.
Ricky Bennett,
Okay,
our maintenance supervisor.
okay.
So is this a position they're gonna hire?
That would be her.
listed at what page? Is that on or is it not in here?
It's on the fourth page, March folder.
Yeah.
Okay.
Making progress today.
I hear you correctly, you do recommend this, did recommend this?
A custodian? Yes, sir, I do.
So am I saying is that 35,267, is that it?
Yes, sir. That's a department that's just got a lot of people in it. Mr. Bennett probably, he needs to focus strictly on maintenance.
Okay.
Several bottles of water.
Okay.
You don't mind? All right.
We'll take a 5-minute recess.
Thank you very much.
Amazing how much that salary goes up, you had all the benefits in
Oh,
there.
yeah, benefits is what does it.
I sit there just looking at that, I'm like, wow.
Benefits is what does it.
I said, benefits really shoots that thing up.
cut any other equipment besides in public buildings, did we?
Call the meeting back to order, and then continue on with our discussion with commissioner recommendations for the full budget and county budget.
I'll start out on the current expense on the school budget. And as I said earlier, and I think there was some support for this, but being a principal at both an elementary school, 2 elementary schools and 1 high school, item number 5, where they're asking for 2 instructional coach positions, my recommendation would be to cut it to 1 and give it to the elementary level. I can say up front that the high schools don't need that. Well, I'm not gonna say they may not, but in my opinion, they can certainly get by without it. That's just me. Everybody else has some different opinion.
I think everybody's kind of agreed to that right there too. I think Commissioner Mendenhall just cut it down to 1. Looks like absolutely good.
Do that.
Well, and what I would say is, you cut that amount, it's still up to them.
It is.
Yeah, how they wanna,
I talked to 2 and they both agreed that they wanted the elementary, but they could do without the high school.
yeah, that's what I'm saying, that'll be their
That's
call,
their call,
but, yeah. They might decide they wanna fund those and just do one of those technology people. And so it's
That's
kind
up
of
to them.
be about the same, so that we can say that amount and then they can
Make the
decide
decision.
what they think is most needed.
That's right.
But I'm okay with that.
As far as the amount of 460, 4%, 5% on the second. How does everybody feel on that? So there's been discussion about getting at percent, 4%.
4.5%.
4.5%.
Yeah, I think we can make that. And I'd like to commit to giving them the other half next year, over a 2.
How does everybody feel about the 30,000 on the marketing position and public information and all that?
That could end up paying for itself in the long run. They definitely need to get their ADM up, and that's what I think that goal with that position is, to help.
I'll say that is what that is for. Just get the ADM back up. So I can support that.
Is there anything else on the current expense anybody want to talk about?
Are you cutting it?
So on these 2, on that page, then we're doing a 0.5% cut on number 3, and then we're doing just 1 instructional coach position.
We'll cut it $314,869.
868, that's what I come up with.
68.
What'd you say?
Cutting at 314,868.
That could be all right. That's $1, that's pretty close.
Yeah.
Okay, now the other question is with that, the monies that are in that fund balance, you want to transfer it to general fund? If so, we have to put that in as a transfer.
Transfer that amount that we cut, you mean, to the general fund? Yes, that's logical fund.
You want the whole amount, or
What else would you do with it?
it's just gonna sit there to use for next year to fund the budget? I mean,
Doesn't matter, yeah. That's one way or the other.
My question is that fund balance a part of the fund balance that's making the 18%?
Well, yes, because it is not a voted in school tax, we're just doing this for transparency. So, yeah, truly it is,
So
yeah.
it is that a part of that?
I had not thought about it that way until Rick, made that, so.
Yeah, help our fund balance with
hang on.
best we transfer.
You transferred it over?
So do I take that and transfer it? I just wanna make sure I'm doing what the board. I've got something not wanting to formulate right. I'll just highlight it for right now. So that would be, where's my-
You did say that. By transferring it, you said, Joy, you did say that would help with the fund balance, right? Okay. Wanted to make sure.
I'll go ahead, I'm having to dig out some.
What was that list? Not the big list that's behind this, but then we have another sheet in here that had all 38 items listed. Not just in the,
In the school system?
yeah.
Just behind that blue folder.
Yeah.
Is that the only place it is?
That's on point, I've seen, yeah.
I thought there was another spot.
Here it is.
I think I got that one behind it.
Okay.
Capital. School capital, blue folder is all of it,
Yeah,
38.
right.
Let you know, the estimated fund balance I have for the school system, that would, could be 392,883 we could transfer to general fund. Do you want to transfer all of it, or you want to leave some of it in there? I didn't know what the board wanted to do. Because that would reduce your use of fund balance too.
Would it be best just to leave it in there then?
Well, if you want to use it,
Might help our fund balance, we need to transfer it over. Let's cut the transfer then.
the whole amount.
Yeah, I mean, it's not
Okay,
there.
that's fine. I just want to make sure I'm doing this.
Otherwise, if we start treating it like it's there, it's going to confuse people. We need to make sure that, that's on the fund.
Sorry, I just wanted to make sure I was. Y'all can go ahead, I'm just doing. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just want to make sure I'm doing what the board wants me to.
I just kind of reserved on the ones like the Department of Finance or something like
About what?
Try to figure out what they're gonna use it for, I'm sure, but.
I mean, I wonder if they had the discussion like we had today about holding out stuff to, so they find out about the ARP.
Probably not, I mean, they probably held it out, and.
Yeah, I think they might have held it out, but I thought they could have done it with that. Maybe we ought to ask them that question before next. Or we just,
So they put this list together, what do you say, back in January, February, you know?
all this money goes to them anyway eventually.
Yeah.
And it's capital,
It's capital money.
together
But it's still,
about a year ago.
That's a separate issue, whether or not they can pay for it with the ARP fund.
We could ask them.
Education will kind of on hold, if you look at them, it's not one of these.
On the roofs, I don't know where the prices come from. Do they have an architect or engineer firm come in and quote these prices for them when they do
usually
these? And when they do these feasibility studies on the building structures?
Yeah, they usually do have somebody like that.
They do. Yeah. They do. Number 4, North Stokes High School auto roof, and Pine Grove. I did go up to North Stokes, been there many times. I looked at the auto tech roof, and I personally think it needs replacing after looking at it.
And then fall again, then, other money for it.
Should have kind of looked at that. Didn't they have to budget for that other money, that blue sheets we had?
They have budgeted for it.
They budgeted, and weren't they got it all budgeted, all the ARP money, that number, all three that they.
I don't know. I know they're doing window replacements and some other things with air and
I guess we just
learning
ought to
loss
ask them.
is a big thing that they're trying to impact with their money, but, as far as the HVAC and that kind of thing, I would think that definitely fall under that, and we need to ask them about that, but other than that, HVAC stuff, I would leave their capital budget alone, like, it's their money,
I agree.
so, you know.
We just ask them that question between now and next year.
Mhm.
Give them a call.
Yep, that would be the only thing, I'm fine with leaving the rest of it intact. I know it's already pared down list from quite a lot of other stuff that they,
Yeah.
I'm sure, had on it.
I agree with that. Long other than that one thing.
Yeah. Yeah, the HVAC stuff. I think we've done some good work today.
Like they do, they say, they got stuff right here, additional capital. They get some.
Yeah, we could ask them.
Any further discussion on that?
And we're gonna make a motion to adjourn if everybody